Hey guys, so we started out by just kind of talking about Gandhi and kind of what some of his biographical information was, and um, just kind of reviewing what the conditions in India were, and you know, India being the crown jewel of the British Empire, what their struggle for independence looks like. So this lesson, we're going to fast forward a little bit, and we're going to talk about what the end of that struggle kind of looks like, what it looks like for Gandhi, what it looks like for India as a whole. So that is the purpose of this lesson. So hopefully, by the end of this lesson, you'll be able to answer, why did Gandhi get assassinated? And kind of, I also am hoping that you gain some understanding about why this event in Indian history is particularly important. Okay. So away we go. So this subject, by and large, is called the partition of India. Now, partition is really just a fancy word for division. Okay, so the partition of India is just basically the act of dividing India into multiple pieces. That's what this is all about. Okay, so why is that the case? Well, as Britain kind of begins to realize that they don't have the money to maintain India as a colony any longer, they start kind of thinking about what is the process we need to go through to kind of to get rid of India as a possession and just kind of grant them independence and be done with it. Well, we know from the Sepoy Mutiny, and well, really the failure of the Sepoy Mutiny, that Hindus and Muslims inside India, there's some friction between these groups. So essentially, what Britain realizes is that if Britain just packs up and leaves overnight, what's going to happen is the Muslim and Hindu factions inside of India are basically just going to engage in a sort of civil war where they are just kind of vying for ultimate power in India. And Britain feels some obligation, I suppose some sense of responsibility, to make sure that when they do grant independence here, that the country is not just going to immediately plunge into chaos. So Britain decides what they want to do is they want to take the territory that is formerly known as the country of India, and they want to partition it. They want to create two countries out of this territory. One country will be India, as we know it today, and this will kind of be home base for the Hindus. And the next country, the other country that they will create, will be Pakistan, and this will be home to all the Muslims that used to live in India. So the idea is all the Indians stay in India, or excuse me, all the Hindus stay in India, and all of the Muslims would move to Pakistan. So once they create these countries, you can kind of see, what this looks like. So all the people that, are living in the newly created territory of Pakistan, but are Hindu, well, you need to pack up all your stuff and you need to leave. You need to go to India. Okay. And all the Muslims that, were living in, throughout India, um, they need to pack up all their stuff and now they need to go to Pakistan. So this creates this crazy amount of traffic both ways of Hindus fleeing Pakistan for India and also Muslims fleeing India for Pakistan. And that causes a lot of, a lot of strife for a lot of people. Um, Now, look, there's two sides to the story here. So India and the leaders in India have a choice. They could agree to the partition of India with the idea that, yeah, India will be split and it will be separated, but we will be independent and we will have our freedom finally, which is what we've been fighting for all along. Um, Now, the only downside is that we're breaking our country in half, and that's not a very nice idea for a lot of people. The other side says, bleep that. We're not splitting the country in half. We will be we will remain kind of one unit, one whole unit, and you guys could just get out of here anyway. So there's this kind of struggle, this tug of war, this push and pull between the sides that are in favor of the partition and independence versus the people that reject the partition and want to continue fighting for independence instead of just having it granted to them. So this is really what lies at the heart of Gandhi's assassination. Gandhi is of the opinion that, and he eventually kind of comes around to the idea that it is best to partition India and have their independence granted. Now that leads to a lot of other problems. So you split the territory into two pieces, but how do you deal with that economically? And Gandhi's of the opinion that what we should do is we should take a certain amount of money that is held in India's treasury, and we should hand it over to Pakistan. So it is Gandhi's idea that Pakistan, be granted their own country and become its own country and its own territory. So India should give that land to Pakistan, and India should also give a bunch of money of their treasury to the Pakistani government. Well, Indian nationalists are not going to agree with this, and it is the anger and rage of those Indian nationalists that lead to Gandhi's assassination. And that's kind of the short version of the story. So, as far as like who are the key players in this particular part of Indian history, it's really three people, although there's plenty more. I mean, obviously Gandhi, a guy named Nehru, who was going to be the first prime minister of India, and the leader of the Muslim side is a guy named Muhammad Ali Jinnah. And so for the classwork, you guys are going to see some documents, and we're going to kind of ask the question: was the partition of India a good idea or not? So your job will be to examine the documents that we've provided here, complete the worksheet, and then submit it through Google Classroom. So as usual, I'm here if you guys need me. Let me know. You guys can get me on Google Classroom or through email. And good luck, and see you soon. Later.